right. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Excited to be here for Live Streaming Decoded. This is our encore edition. And we want to ask the question, is live streaming the new networking? And we've got some amazing guests here we're going to really dig into that and see what we can actually come up with. But I don't think live streaming is networking in the way that we typically define it. I'd say more brand awareness, building storytelling, sharing, all that kind of stuff. But we want to take a look at, has COVID hammered the last nail into the coffin of networking? Do we need to redefine it? So today in Live Streaming Dakota, we're asking these questions and are going to discover these three things. Is networking dead? Can we network online in real time? How do we redefine it? Or do we even need to? And why you need to be live streaming to network in the 2020s. So I'm here with my amazing co-host, Keith Keller, the Twitter video and marketing expert. We've got Crystal Williamson from New York, Christine Gritman from New York, Linda Ray from Connecticut.
Originally from New York.
Formerly of New York.
Wow. So we're spanning the world. I'm all the way here in Perth, Australia. Keith is in Melbourne, Australia. Isn't this exciting? Welcome, Keith. If you want to just give a quick little intro, and then we'll go grab everybody else.
Just do a quick intro. We have an encore edition today because Linda, my friend from Connecticut, who I met 2 weeks ago, said, "Look, this idea that you've had with the 10 parts, Keith, it's such a winner. Let's keep it going. Let's do something else." And we just had this idea that is live streaming the new networking? If we can't go into the city, if we can't jump on a plane, can we get a similar vibe online? And look what we're doing. New York, Connecticut, Melbourne, Perth. There's people listening from all over the world. And we've set an intention that we want to get 100 live viewers chatting to each other on Facebook and Periscope and YouTube. But we're going to get 1,000 views over the course of the week. And this is the new networking. Is it the new networking? That's the discussion we're having today. Of course, we're all going to want to jump on a plane. Of course, we're all going to want to go into the city. And eventually, I'd like to hug people. But we can't. Right now, we can't. So is this a reasonable alternative? And I think it is. But back to you, mate. Let's do a wrap around the room and then we'll get into some really chunky questions and ask people if this is the new normal.
Yeah, Linda, I'd like to give us a quick introduction.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me back. My name is Linda Ray. My company is Aurora Consulting, and we are commercial financing brokers. My partner, Trevor, is retired from the mortgage banking industry. I am a licensed insurance broker as well. So we have our hands in a few different things. It's, the entrepreneurial thing that keeps us up at night, and just glad to be here with all of you.
And we're networking. Lisa, or Christine, rather. Sorry, Christine, we have a message from Lisa.
Yes.
So you get to go next.
All right. Yeah, I made sure to tag my Australian friends.
Good.
You too. I have a global network. I'm Christine Gritman. I am in the beautiful little village of Nyack, New York, not far above the city. And I simplify social media for small business owners. So I just demystify it, show them how to make it simple, strategic, and effective.
Fantastic. Thanks, Christine. And Crystal.
Yeah, hey, I'm Crystal Williamson. I'm the co-creator of Small Changes Are Huge, helping people with their goals and achieve them in small increments. Make a commitment to 8 days, and guess what? Life changes. I'm a technophile too, which is the new word for geek, by the way.
I dig
Whatever
that.
happened to nerd? What's wrong with nerd?
Yeah.
So are we networking? Ladies and gentlemen, are we networking?
Yeah.
Let me play this out. I want to play this out. I do this all the time. This has happened to me 100 times this year. Christine and Crystal have never met each other, but they live within 100 Ks of each other. They've never met. They may never have ever met, because Christine lives in a lovely town in New York State. Crystal lives right in the heart. I'm guessing in the heart. I don't know the geography, but she lives right in the center of New York. Now, they may not have come across each other in real life, but they may know people. And they probably will be chatting after the event to say, hey, do you know such and such? Have you been to this deli? I used to go there. I loved it here. Have you stayed there? And I live in Melbourne, Australia, an hour from the city, and we're right down the bottom of Australia, and we're 26 hours away if I ever wanted to go to New York. It's such a long way. Like it takes
even longer
hours and
from
hours and
Perth.
hours and hours.
Although, can I tell you, the last time I was in New York City, which was right before I was no longer allowed to go to New York City, I was with an Australian.
Ah.
My
Oh,
friend
wow.
Fiona had come out she had come to California for Social Media Marketing World. So, of course, we met in California across the entire country.
Wow.
And then she came out to New York for a few days. Well, for more than a few days. She did a little bit of the Northeast before heading on home. So she's the last person I was in New York City with, an Australian.
That is brilliant.
Yep. Small world.
It is a small world.
It is. It is.
So,
And it's
so
funny
really, then
because
what?
I was a guest on one of the shows, and that's how I got to know Linda Ray.
Yeah,
Ah.
Didn't meet her before. What was that? 2 weeks ago?
that's right. It was 2 weeks ago. We were on a show. We were not, well, I wasn't a guest. I was just typing in comments
Oh wow!
because I talk a lot. So if I'm not talking, I'm typing. And so that's how that, and then we friended each other on Facebook. And now we're BFFs. And there you go.
Mhm.
So what's wrong with networking right now? Like, let's be honest. Can we do it?
No.
Should we
not
be doing
well.
it?
Yes.
Well, I
Yes?
mean, we can.
Yes.
We have to be creative. That's the only thing.
Okay.
Well, are we talking about IRL? So there's that. That's what I was saying.
I'm talking.
IRL.
I'm talking traditional networking. Yes.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
I want to
yeah.
span the gap of. Let's go back a few months and say, was the networking even helpful? I mean,
Working.
is it a good thing? Is it productive? What do you think?
Can I answer that question
Yeah, please.
first, and then you guys, because you're gonna feel the pain as far as not pain, but to me, I think pre-COVID, I think there was a hesitation or a deliberation on how can I best spend my time? Am I going to networking events every day? Do I want to go every day? Do I want to go 3 times a day? Because let's face it, there are organizations with events, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And over the last, if you've been networking like I've been networking for 30 years, it's like, I don't want to go there, but I know people. It's a great organization and it's good visibility and blah, blah, blah. And you justify it. Then you go and then you're exhausted because you've already been to 5 that week. So that's like that was pre-COVID deliberation about in-person networking, just day to day, you know. So
Well,
Can I just pick up
so
what you
when-
just said?
Yeah, go for
Can
it,
I-
Keith.
I'm so fascinated by what you just said there, Linda.
well, you know, I'm a fascinating person.
You
You're all
say that
fascinating.
there's always been these two very strong dichotomies in the world of networking. Look, you know what? I don't personally like it, but I have to do it. I know that I get business from networking, so I suck it up. I know it's tiring. I know that it's a waste of time, but I get business, so I do it. And I've always heard that story, but I've also heard the other story. Oh man, I just love hugging people. I just love having a coffee and going out for tea, and I just love going into the city, and I like the buzz.
Keith,
But
first
if
of
you
all,
don't like the buzz, what?
I love you, man, because the way you're like, I have to have my coffee and my tea. I'm like, dude, I need a drink. Like, is it a happy hour
Yeah,
networking?
you're a bit tame, Keith.
No, that's all right. I do drink, but I'm not really into drinking. But I do
But,
love coffee,
okay.
and I do love hanging out in the city. But what I wanted to pick up on is what you just said there. That wouldn't it be great if you could get business and not have to go into the city? If you're not a hugger, if you're not a coffee drinker,
And
if
that's
you're
what's
not
happening now. That's
Isn't
what's
it great?
great.
But do you
And
hug
it's
during
not just
network
about-
events, Keith?
And it's not just
I'm
about
a
that. It's
hugger.
like,
I'm a hugger.
we don't have to rent a space anymore. We don't have to think about, oh wow, now should we feed them or should we just have coffee? What type of people are there? So it's just not the same factors anymore, and it's much easier. I heard this in January of this year, because you know how people start their new goals January 1st, is that meetups were going down significantly from January of this year, because first of all, there are so many of them, but these people just couldn't do as much. You know, they don't want to. I'd love to go to Nyack to a meetup, but you know, do I want to drive the hour, get a car, and so on? So it was much easier to do online, and I think it's just blossomed since then.
Absolutely. I've had the same experience. First of all, I rarely get down to the city, and I've been to a few New York City networking events. I've been to a few regional networking events on Zoom that I've gotten direct business from. And these are gatherings that I would not have been a part of otherwise. And also there's a group that I'm very involved with online that mostly takes place. Most of the events take place an hour plus north of me. So it's not super far away. It's still in my region. But at the same time, I mean, I have 2 small kids and I'm running a business. So I don't always get to as many events as I'd like to. And now I'm engaging with members of that group many times a week. Wow. And it's fantastic. But there is a downside. But I feel like I can address the downside later.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
But I think it's been great. I think that factor of not having to choose to make the time investment in quite the same way. The time investment is just the time that you're there, which is glorious and gives you energy to do more things. You can even turn off the video. If you're really not feeling it, you could just kind of be an observer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can show up. Yeah, I mean, when you add in all that extra time, and I mean, networking is a decent activity, but it takes a lot of time. Not just standing around talking with people, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong, but I did want to ask, though, when was the last live networking event that you guys went to? And what was it? If you can remember. I don't know. I can barely remember.
March 1st.
Oh,
San
wow,
Diego.
okay.
With Christine. Hold on. With Christine.
Oh, okay.
And I was in San Diego.
And 5,000 of my closest friends.
And 4,999 people of my closest friends, exactly.
Wow.
Did that still go ahead? Did it? I was wondering whether it still went ahead.
Yeah,
that was almost around the time that things were happening, especially in New York. We got our first case on March 1st, actually. So
I gave out ribbons. So we have badges at this conference, and they give out ribbons you can kind of stick along the bottom. I gave out ribbons that said, "I hugged Christine Gritman."
Yeah.
Which I really feared before we knew there would be a pandemic.
And there was a guy who was doing high fives, and there was
Justin, high five guy.
There was sanitizers in all the bathrooms.
Did they have the sanitizer?
Yeah.
Yes, but there were only like 3 masks. Like this was pre-mask.
Yeah.
But post sanitizer.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And Crystal, when was the last networking event you went to? The live
and
one?
I'm thinking it was possibly before February, because it was a spiritual event where there were, Reiki healers, massage people, and so on. I don't remember the exact date, but it was February of this year, and it was crazy to get to. It was like way out in an area. Do I really want to do this? It took me a long train ride, and it's like, oh, I wish there was an easier way. Well, there is, because I've seen them 3 times since this started.
Oh,
now I got to know where it was.
and Keith, can you remember when the last time was that you went?
Yeah, I haven't gone to anything this year.
Yeah.
So I remember I remember speaking at an event. This is why I haven't been to anything this year. I went to an event which I spoke at. I spoke on the Monday and I went on the Tuesday. And I was so exhausted from that process. I think it was November. I was so exhausted from that process that I thought, look, there's got to be a better way. It was we had the bushfires in January, February, and I got really heavily involved in helping there. And I thought, look, there's just 100 different things I'd rather be doing than going into the city. And I did get some sort of cool leads as a result of going there, which made up for the exhaustion. But I thought, look, there's got to be a better way, and I want to be part of that solution, which is why Doyle and I are working together. And we've had some cool events, and we chatted last week about me speaking in Jamaica remotely. But I haven't spoken this year or gone to an event this year deliberately, well before COVID started, because I think that this is the future. I think that this is the future that I want to be part of. I've never met Christine, but I've heard so much about her and I've seen her online, and now we're chatting.
Yay!
And I'm not going to I wouldn't imagine I'd be ever going to go to a really cool village in New York State.
Why not?
I might, but the point is that I've got to get there, and it's a 26-hour plane ride, and I've got to go via Hawaii, and it's going to take me like 3 days of my life.
Hawaii?
Well, how do you get to New
I
York?
do.
Don't you go
To
via
LA.
Hawaii?
You poor thing,
Yeah.
you'll have to go to Hawaii.
I know.
Airplane.
You'll suffer through it, Keith. You'll suffer through it.
Well,
You
look,
can
too
go
bad it-
over it.
let me play this out because I've been to Calgary and I want to play this out. We went to Canada in 1996, and we had to stop in Hawaii because obviously the planes didn't have as much range then. And I thought, look, I've got 8 hours on a plane. I'm a vegetarian. They forgot the food, right? So I had fruit buns and salad dressing for about 8 hours, and then I got to Hawaii and I'm stuck there for 2 hours waiting, and then I get to Vancouver and it's 36 hours. I timed it from the moment I left my house. It was 36 hours before I got to my hotel,
Oh
Yeah, that's-
God.
and I'm thinking, look,
That-
I'm not sure I can do this again.
Yeah,
Right. That is exhausting.
that
It
is.
But
Yeah.
so then,
I mean, to
like,
that end, the thing that I went to, the last networking event I went to in real life was the aforementioned one with an Australian in New York City, and that was Monday, March 9th.
Oh,
And Monday, March 9th, it was still, there was such a difference, a marked difference between the previous week in San Diego, where people were mostly still hugging, mostly still doing all these things, we were joking about hand washing, and then Monday, March 9th, we still weren't at masks yet, but the fact is we went to a group. Heidi Cohen is this very smart marketer in New York, and she had a whole bunch of marketers over for a salon, and people weren't shaking hands quite. Some people weren't. Some people were. We were all kind of awkwardly like, can I shake? Do we do an elbow bump? It was
Right.
very early days, but within like 2 or 3 more days, it was very soon like, oh, I would not go to a thing. I had a networking event that I was hosting the following week, and we made the difficult call to turn it into a Zoom event, and the venue was annoyed. The venue was annoyed at me. It was scheduled for March 18th. And so on the 13th or the 16th, I forget what day we officially called it, but we fairly late in the game, we called it, and the venue was like, well, we still have other events happening. And I'm like, do you though?
yeah.
And sure enough, by the time March 18th rolled around, they're like, yeah, no, everything's canceled.
Yeah.
We were glad we moved to Zoom.
That was right around the time it started to get bad. And then the edict came down, I think, that day about changes in
Yeah.
New York State.
the
Mhm.
last event that I went to
So
was
fast.
actually at the beginning of March, and it was a fairly decent sized event, about 50 people. So,
Well,
but again, it takes a lot of work to be able to get that. At the
Mhm.
same time, though, are we missing something with
Yeah.
online Zoom meetings? I mean, I've gone to meetings on Zoom where there's like 3 pages of,
Yeah.
50 people,
Me too.
and it's like everybody talks for like 30 seconds and then that's it. And you just kind of sit there watching and listening, I guess. I mean, it's not that bad, but how do we
Breakout
deal with sort of that
rooms.
huge, yeah.
Breakout
so-
room. I've noticed a very big difference between the events with and without breakout rooms. And at the beginning, I would never have thought of it. But I've been to so many events now, and I find that that's how you actually make connections with people. And also, the host has to encourage people to share their information in the chat. That has also led to some good conversations for me, because I've piped up in the group discussion here and there, not a lot, and I always put my information in the chat at least once, usually towards the beginning. I don't want to be the first. I'm usually like the fourth. And then one of the ones towards the end, I put it in again. And I encourage people to reach out and get in touch with me.
And what does
That's
that
a
do,
great point.
Christine?
Yeah,
What does
go
that
ahead.
what does that encourage? Does it encourage some sort of dialogue, some movement?
I get people contacting me from almost every single one now, partially because I feel like the people who are bothering to show up to these online networking events are kind of in it to win it. People who used to go just kind of to go, or there's free cheese or whatever. I feel like they're not bothering to show up on Zoom. I feel like the people who are bothering to show up on Zoom are there to network and there to make connections.
So we can have Christine, what you said there. We can have bring your own cheese Zoom events now, can't we?
I would love that.
That would be great. Also, it's a different skill set when you're the host of one of these, because I love what you said, Christine, because people can kind of just sit around and but you have to really ask those kind of coaching questions. You don't get to, so how's everybody doing? And then
Yes.
at the end of it, you really have to have something where people delve into and some type of answer, and everyone is engaged. And I actually, that's one of the few things I like about Zoom is the breakout rooms, because people get very lively in the breakout rooms. It's wonderful.
I love it. I've actually not been in a breakout room, and I will say this. So I'm an ambivert, okay?
Oh,
And I'm an ambivert. So when I'm an extrovert, I'm all in and on, but I'm also an introvert. And this pandemic has sort of really nurtured the introverted side of me. And I don't hate being home, and I don't hate being more quiet. And as a result, I'm sort of Christine, I'm kind of the one that's like, do I want to go to that Zoom call? And I'm not fully leveraging the capacity that not the live streaming, because I'm digging the live streaming now, but all the Zoom meetings, I'm not really fully leveraging that as a platform now, even if it's not live. And I
Can I
do that.
ask a question there? Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really interested now. Last week, and I'm very proud of what we did last week. We had 8 people on the call. We used Zoom and Restream, and we went to 5 platforms with 8 people. But and the advantage of Zoom is that everyone got a chance to talk, and everyone can talk to each other, and anyone can come up to 100 people. And there's real power there. And with Restream, we can send that to 30 places. What the question I'm asking is, what's the use case for StreamYard where you can only have 6 guests and all of the interactions happen either in the chat room or on the Facebook or a LinkedIn page? Which would you prefer, to have it in a Zoom call where you can chat to them, or would you rather have just a short amount of guests, a small amount of guests, and do all of the networking online? What's the best use case there?
I feel like they're completely different uses.
Yes.
right.
I feel like they're total. I feel like it's similar to even within Zoom itself, if you're using meeting mode or if you're using webinar mode. You know, it's a completely different dynamic in terms of participation, and I feel like
this is more like webinar mode, really.
Yeah.
When I think about it. With
yeah,
StreamYard
even a notch
anyways.
down from it.
Yeah, because I mean, part of this whole show is to sort of see what works and what we can use it for. And the question was asked, you know, is live streaming the new networking? And so can we sort of connect the two together? In our episode last week, that's kind of what we did with Zoom, because we can invite everybody and everybody can be in Zoom, and then we can go into the Zoom, the side meetings or whatever. But we can also broadcast live. Do we need to have both? I guess is the question that's important as well.
I think both is good, because I have found, as a newbie to live streaming, I have found that before I forget this, to Crystal's point, if you're going to have a Zoom meeting and you're going to host it, you really do need to be spot on how you are managing your guests and the audience that you may see or not see, depending on how the live comments are coming in. Otherwise, you know, it's just it could be a snooze fest depending on how it goes, you know. But also the live streaming I found to be useful if you want to present a platform on the thought leadership goal side for trainings or education, or, you know, just collaborating with people within your sphere and sharing, and, you know, maybe there's value that's delivered there in some form or fashion.
So it sounds like it depends on like what you want your ultimate goal to be. Do you want kind of a training? Do you have 6 lively guests? Do you want conversation with people? What's your end goal?
Yeah.
So that really does choose which tool you want.
And is it creepy to watch a networking event but not from the side?
I don't think so. I think it depends. Like I host LinkedIn Live events, and we've done a couple of them on Zoom. But the thing is, our events always involve a panel. So what I have done is I've done the beginning part in Zoom meeting style, and we've gone round robin and had everyone introduce themselves, which we don't have time to do at the live events. So that's been a nice thing. Everyone has gotten to have their little elevator pitch. We have a Google Doc where everyone can share their contact information that is private to the people who are registered for the event. And I don't broadcast that part live streamed. I keep that part on Zoom, and then I start live streaming when we reach our panel discussion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that is live
Wow,
streamed
cool.
to LinkedIn Live and Facebook Live through
So
Restream.
you do them both. So you have sort of the group discussion first, and then you have the panel, and then you go live. Is that how
Exactly.
you do
So
it?
we have the intimacy, but then we also have the more public learning.
Ooh, that's sexy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could have the breakout rooms after that. So after the panel, have a breakout room.
If
but
we
you
had enough
come off
people show
live.
up to my events, yeah, we could do
This
that.
is I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Well,
great.
It's already recorded,
that's
Crystal.
like leveling up in my world, because I know that's why Keith and Doyle, I love what you were doing with the live streaming Decoded, where the first 9 episodes, I think, or 8 episodes, you went through all of the different platforms on what's feasible or what's mechanically, functionally most feasible. And so, but I think Christine, like that's like superstar shit right there.
So, I mean, that's another reason I have to say,
Superstar.
though, LinkedIn has to get on it with just making LinkedIn Live a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you.
Oh no,
Yes.
no! I didn't want to talk about LinkedIn.
I know, because
It's about networking, Doyle. It was going to happen.
why is
Yeah, but no, I agree with you,
That's the reason
Christine.
why we started. It's networking.
Christine, LinkedIn is missing the boat here.
what are they
completely.
doing? What are they like? I don't understand. You're supposed to be a professional network where you're the best network to network and to connect with people who want to network, and you don't have the LinkedIn Live rolled out to everybody.
And
Nope.
it's freaking
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
it's
funny
silly.
because they have the learning part because they bought Lynda.com.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
why not
They
put
bought
the
Lynda.
I wish I owned that shit right there.
Oh,
What?
it is, yeah. No, I
But
do.
now
That's
you can
sort of
actually
why,
have
you know.
a LinkedIn
Oops, yeah.
story, right? Like you can have LinkedIn
That's
stories, which they
worthless.
basically.
Give me
I
LinkedIn
just saw
Zoom. Facebook came out with Messenger Rooms. LinkedIn should have come out with that. LinkedIn does give you, I'm not sure if this is including people who do not have access to the LinkedIn Live beta, but I'm pretty sure it does. You can create an event on LinkedIn now as your company, and you can live stream into the event. I've done it with Restream. It's been great, but that's still very limited.
Mhm.
You should be
It
able to
is.
have like a Zoom competitor. LinkedIn needs to get on. They're Microsoft, for God's sake.
I
Teams.
know.
They already have
Microsoft
Teams and
Teams.
Skype.
Hey,
and-
bingo. We've
That's
had
the
this
whole thing.
discussion.
Microsoft Teams is trying to be Zooms because everything that Teams does, this is the reason why people like Zoom, it's the background. And guess what? That's what Teams picked up on. No, I don't want people to see my messy house.
Yeah.
From what I hear, Teams is awful. But the fact is, it's better than nothing. So
Yeah.
really, LinkedIn needs to just reskin Teams and just slap it out there.
And it's perfect for corporate because that's the
Yeah.
thing about Teams. It's more corporate. LinkedIn would take the other part of that market.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, Christine, how did you get it? Doyle has asked 4 times. I'm playing an experiment. I have told the world it's June 2020. I have applied for LinkedIn Live. Let's see how long it takes them to get back to me.
Well,
we're-
the really stupid part is that I have it on my personal profile and I still don't have it on my company page, which is very frustrating because I'd rather have it as my company page. But a friend gave me some good tips. One of them is to engage a lot with people who do have LinkedIn Live, engage with their LinkedIn Live broadcasts. And also a lot of the people who were very early on the beta of LinkedIn Live and have been the heaviest users also have a lot of people on that product team looking at their comment thread and seeing who engaging users are.
Interesting.
So that was a tip given to me. So I started, going fairly heavy on a couple people's comment threads there, and the product people were able to see me. I also did ask a few of those people. These were the very early people. So right now, someone having LinkedIn Live doesn't necessarily mean that they're on the product team's radar, but back then they were. And so that really helped, and some of them even put in some good words for me.
Well, how long did you have
And
it
it's
for,
kind of
Christine?
wasted. I'm not sure how long I've had it for.
Because they just unrolled it in Australia like probably just over a year ago, I think. So it was in the U.S. and Canada prior to
I've
that.
had
I think
it
by
since
about,
the fall, at least.
okay.
At least since last.
So jelly. I'm so jelly.
It's wasted on me because honestly, the ways that I want to use it are for my company page, and also I just keep not getting traction on what's going to work because I get very deflated by a lack of engagement.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn audiences, you can have a lot of eyeballs. The engagement I'm hearing across the board, the engagement on LinkedIn Live is just lower.
Yeah.
YouTube, it's a different type of platform, a different type of behavioral.
But
It's interesting because I think they're thinking in LinkedIn, at least some of the users with LinkedIn, because I've written articles and people have read the articles because you can see the comments. So I think maybe they're thinking more of a highbrow thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kristen, I find that surprising though, because you have so much content. You have your live Friday noon show that you then turn into a podcast that's also on YouTube. And you have some heavy hitters on that podcast.
And for the first 3 months of 2020, I decided that this Facebook Live show, which I've had since April of 2017, I decided to simulcast it every week for the first 3 months of 2020 to Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. And I got
comparison.
Sorry?
To do the comparison.
Yeah. And
What happened? Hey, there we are.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So YouTube, I got crickets. YouTube, I got nothing because I haven't invested in growing an audience there, and it just didn't happen. So now I just upload it later, the recording. LinkedIn, I technically got views. I got no comments, and it was really kind of, I kind of didn't feel like it was worth it to me. Plus, my audience is more of a Facebook audience because I work with people who are kind of beginners at social media for the most part. So if they're anywhere, I don't know. They just weren't really into the whole watching videos on LinkedIn thing. They're not.
Can I pick up on a really key point that you mentioned right at the start, and we haven't? And a big hello to Dino, good mate. He's from Perth, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he is. Yeah. Hey, Dino, if you have comments about LinkedIn Live, I know, I'm pretty sure you're on LinkedIn Live, Dino. So yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please send us another comment. But thanks for joining us. Go ahead, Keith.
I want to pick up on Christine's comment right at the start. She goes, "Keith, can we start? I want to do my watch party." So, we've talked about LinkedIn and how there really is nothing going on there. Sure, some people have it, but nothing happens. Tell me about Facebook and watch parties and why that's so much better, and how is that for your engagement?
When it comes to any social media platform, the smart thing to do is not to figure out how to crack the algorithm or outthink the algorithm. It's to work with the algorithm. These platforms, especially Facebook, are very clear about what they want. And the way that they show that is by giving you reach or not giving you reach. So they've shown that they want people to use groups because when something happens in a group, you get a notification right away. They've shown that they want people to use watch parties because when someone shows a watch party, you get a notification about it. And there's actually something that I've been trying to encourage a lot of people to do. I just talked to someone literally today about it. She has on her personal profile lots of friends, and they see her stuff. On her business profile, on her business page, she doesn't have as many likes or followers. And people also, the algorithm isn't trained to really show those people a lot of stuff of hers yet either. So she gets nothing. But she's trying to build that one. And she was going live and starting to get a small audience of live streams for her business page, but she wants to pump it up. So I said, here's what you do. First, in Creator Studio, you schedule the link in advance, much like for this broadcast, we had the link in advance. It was a nice little post saying, this person's going to go live at this time, and that exact post turns into the video at the time that it goes live. So I had her create one of those. I had her share that post to groups and such. And then I said, okay, when it goes live, when you go live as your page on your computer, have your phone at the ready and be at that post. Like navigate to your own Facebook page to that post that says so-and-so is going live at this time. When it goes live, start a watch party as your personal profile because your personal profile gets the reach, right? Your personal profile, they're going to get notifications in your friends' feeds, but it's still your company's video. So you are going to be using the reach power of your personal profile to get reach for that business page's video. That's what's happening now too. The watch party always definitely ups the reach.
Yeah.
And the more people that are on a watch party, this is just a personal thing, I think, ooh, what are they doing? So it's really very interesting.
Well, in this case, they're watching some amazing people talk about live streaming in LinkedIn Live. We actually have Keith pressed the wrong button, so he
Keith
kind of
is back,
dropped off.
yay!
I got so excited. I got so excited by this idea of a watch party that I had to go to Facebook that minute. I'm an Aquarian, right? I'm an ENFP. I got to do it now. Look at it.
ENFP.
My son's an Aquarius. This is starting to make a lot of sense.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so,
God.
I'm an
Hey, we've got
Aquarian
some
ENFP.
We got some comments from Dino. So yes, he has LinkedIn Live. Got the frustration of only having it on a personal page and not a company. Cool.
Yeah.
So
It's annoying.
and then I was informed to request LinkedIn Live every 3 weeks with a different aspect on the value that you'll be delivering. Pass that on to 3 people who all received access over the first few months now. That's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is cool.
So I guess be persistent is what you're saying, Dino.
But Doyle, you've been persistent for a while.
Yeah, I've kind of given up hope. Well, we had last in January, I think was the last.
You also
time I
have to
applied,
show
so-
value, though.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, was I was going to do a. Yeah, you're right. There's no value here. Because we're going to actually trash
There is
LinkedIn on every
tonight.
episode. Yeah.
There is.
No, but it was a show designed specifically for LinkedIn as well. Really, was what I was
man.
proposing at the beginning.
Well, let me
So-
pick up on what we've just said there. Linda picked up on this, and it's really important. We have decided, Doyle and I, that we're the guys that are going to bash about, and we're going to try every single platform out there, and we're going to give you a decoder. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And, if you want to see the ugly, watch the Restream show. 30-second delay between me speaking and my mouth moving. I mean, it's unwatchable. But we are the evil Knievel, the crash test dummies of the live streaming world. We are playing with this because there's people that are too scared to try it. And that's what this show's about. Is live streaming the new thing? Is it the new networking? And just have a go. What, Christine?
Christine, tell them about you're doing a thing.
Yes, I am.
Doing a live streaming.
Linda, you're the best wing woman ever. Yeah. So I'm doing in July, which starts really soon, in case you didn't know. July's really soon. I'm doing a month-long, small group, intensive group training program for people getting started with live streaming.
Newbie.
So, so the first week is going to be sort of, the head junk and figuring out sort of what we need to learn. And it's a small group, so I can also adjust, to what people need. And I'm having an individual meeting with people at the beginning to see what people need, because it's a small group. I can change things. The second week is about stuff before the tech. So, figure out what your background will look like, figure out what you're going to talk about, figure out how to be interesting, figure out what platforms you're going to go on.
Yeah.
And then week 3 is the tech, your lighting, your camera, your sound. And we're going to have demos of StreamYard and Ecamm and BeLive from special guest experts who know more about live streaming than I do. And they're going to have tips throughout. And then the 4th week, we're going to kind of do a recap. And hopefully everyone will, be able to push everyone just out of that nest to go live. So that's going to be, you can check that out at bit.ly/live streaming month with a capital live, capital streaming, capital month.
Well,
Bitly live streaming. I'll type that in now.
I'd be remiss knowing this intel without sharing it, because we're talking about this whole event right here, right now, is talking about how live streaming is the new networking. And because even if with states reopening and having events, though physical distancing, it's not yet ready to. There's no convention center that's going to.
I'm not shaking anyone's hand.
Right, and there's not going to be 5,000 people anywhere anytime soon that I can believe. But
I don't want your business card.
Right. So I think, though, there is something to planning out, and this is marketing 101 stuff. This is strategy on how you're going to present what value you deliver, what products and services that you have that you still need to sell, because who needs to pay their mortgage still?
Right.
I need to pay my mortgage still. And so how are you going to do that? You're going to have to get online, and if you're not doing video is great, and I love doing video. I love editing video. Live is just challenging your fortitude on just flubbing it if you're going to flub it. Like right
Yeah.
now, I'm
Loving
going to go, like when Keith sends me this file, I'm going to go back and I'm going to edit the heck out of it with
Yeah.
little nuggets to then have it just as, you know, promo stuff.
Here's
don't
Linda
edit me
sounding
out.
really smart.
Yeah, after I've said 13 or, you know, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think live is going to be the way to go to demonstrate your expertise, your thought leadership, and just promoting what it is you're.
So how do we connect the two then? Christine, you talked a little bit about that earlier before, that you can have sort of segmented it into an intro session and then a panel session and then a side panel session kind of thing. How else can we integrate live streaming into networking?
Really deeply encouraging conversation, making sure that people show up live, which itself is a bit of sorcery there, kind of alchemy.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So making sure that people show up, but then really encouraging them to tune in. And I've seen actually chat bots, which are yet another level that can enhance the live streaming experience and the networking experience. I haven't done this, but my friend Kelly Noble Mirabella, queen of chat bots, she did something for a live stream for Agora Pulse, where first of all, we all got notifications that the live stream was happening, so to tune in. But then during the live stream, they actually said, if you put this particular word in the comments right now, we will send you a special discount on the guest's, program. And so I put in the word, and sure enough, while I was sitting there still watching the video, a little messenger window popped up. And it said, hey, please confirm that, you're interested in this discount by, clicking here. And I said, yes, I want it. And they said, so here's the deal. And this message, this is just in Messenger written. It said, we're happy to offer you a 10% discount right now. But if you also share a post about it, literally right now, click here to share a post about it, we will give it to you for 50% off. Wow. Right there in the Messenger window. I didn't have to leave watching the live stream. It was incredible. This person got crazy sales on their course because they had people not only signing up then and there while watching their live stream, but also sharing it out to their friends. It was incredible. So that's one way to really make a live stream more interactive. And Facebook is also coming out with more interactive tools during live streams as well.
That's social selling 101, isn't it?
Yeah. Does that become too much of a selling? Because let's be honest, back in the day of networking, events, business card exchange, the people who come up to you and say, hey, come buy my shit, are the ones that are annoyed and you don't talk to them for the rest of the evening, right? Yeah. How do we avoid that, or do we need to? Or
by smacking them over the head with value, by Gary V, jab, 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 right hook. Although I did that the wrong way.
Yeah.
Value, 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 value.
Right.
Yeah.
Deliver.
So it
and
doesn't
you'll stand out from the crowd when you do that, as opposed to sell. It's like, this is different. It's different.
Right.
From a place of integrity. We talked about that recently. Remember, coming from a place of integrity and authenticity in one of the other live streams.
So is it okay then, for example, in this case, if Keith and myself, we're the live streaming Decoded hosts, right? If we offered our program as part of that live streaming event, is that cool, or is that not cool?
Only if you're keeping the whole thing super engaging and interesting, and you've already knocked me over by teaching me cool stuff.
Right.
Okay. So that's it. So we have to teach first. So a live streaming networking event really has shifted a lot in terms of just random activity, right?
Yeah.
Random people talking to each other, grabbing some cheese and talking to somebody else and that sort of thing, to something very specific.
Right.
There's a pattern, there's a flow, there's a process.
Right.
Do you agree?
Well, I also think too that to this point that you're talking about with the value, you need to have some tight strategy going into your broadcasts so that you know what you can give away for free, and so that you know when the time, what you can deliver within the confines of not not spilling your candy in the lobby kind of thing, Sandler training, and then to then be able to make that offer without feeling slimy about it, because you are delivering value.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be tight. You have to really kind of have that as a program, an agenda, an itinerary for yourself to be able to go live? And then, because like Doyle, you're asking the question. That's a great question.
Mhm.
How do you
So-
do it? It's got to,
Yes.
you
So
got to have,
if you're having a networking event, Linda, you set up a live stream or just a Zoom that you might sort of intro and then go live as well. If you're teaching people, that's okay to sell to them.
I think so for sure.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you're
I
delivering
mean,
value, I mean,
if your objective when you go live is because ultimately you want to make an offer to someone, I don't think there's anything wrong with like you're presenting value and you're promoting your products and services and you're making it available for them to consider. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because how are people going to, it's a call to action. It's a
Right.
call to action. Part
Well,
of,
look, a very good example here is that, and I didn't know this, and I put the link in the chat room, and I think it's case sensitive because it's not working for me.
Oh.
But here's a really great example. Christine comes on the show.
And I didn't
Not-
mean to sell. That was
No,
Linda.
there it is. And
but,
so
oh no, you weren't.
it's 9 o'clock at night on a Wednesday night for Christine in New York, and she's taking time away from her kids and watching TV and having a cup of tea or a
or a
drink
glass
if
of
you're-
wine.
and so therefore we now know that if you want to know more about live streaming, Christine has a month-long course, which I can't wait to hear about. I can't wait to take part in, because she's going to talk about what to do before the tech starts. You know, you just don't push record and go. You've got to have a strategy. We had a strategy. The strategy was we're going to do 10 parts. We're going to try the show live. You're going to get to see that this is StreamYard. How does it look and compare to Ecamm? How does it differ to BeLive? How does it differ to Zoom? We tried Restream. It was a disaster, but it's funny.
Yeah.
That was our strategy. It's like a
Yeah.
no strategy, an
And
Aquarian
we're
strategy.
on episode number 12 too.
Now, have you
I
tried
forgot to count.
Instagram Live yet?
No,
No.
that's
Yes.
the next one.
They just
Well, I
changed
have
it, though.
on
they
myself,
did.
but
They
not as
just
part of the
changed
show.
it. It's not
Okay.
part of your profile anymore. It's not part of the profile picture anymore.
Oh, I'm so happy they changed it. Now they're
Yeah.
actually useful. Now before it was you'd go live on Instagram and after 24 hours it was like you didn't do anything. It was terrible. Now you immediately turn that live stream into an
thumbnail.
IGTV, but not just an IGTV. You can then turn that IGTV, you can put a link in an IGTV video, which you
Yeah.
can't do on any other type of Instagram post. So you can have a link in that IGTV video now, and you can turn that into a feed post, and you can turn it into a story and then put that
Yeah.
story in your highlight. And your
Good
live
one.
stream now lives in a million different places.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
It's
perfect.
true.
That's
True
much
story on the stories. Yeah.
better.
Yes.
On the privacy thing, should people not come then if they're concerned about being broadcast across Facebook? Do we need to sort of identify that up front?
Yeah.
If you join this networking
Yeah.
event, we're going to be broadcasting you on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
And that can be a disclaimer when you have
Yeah.
the event. Be aware that you're going to be live and take precautions, because yes, it's still this day and age. So it's and everybody's concerned about privacy, and that goes with all of these streaming things. You know, you
Yeah.
always have to make sure that you keep your private life private as much as possible.
so clean out the background.
Yeah, right. Or have that Zoom thing in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, have a piece of red cloth. That's going to look good for everyone on the planet. We're
Yeah.
just going to.
I'm getting a red background.
Yeah.
Well, is that digital?
Another
Christine?
color.
Christine, is that digital?
No, this
No.
is a crappy curtain from
Oh, okay.
IKEA hanging on a clothing rod.
Oh, right. Okay,
In
yeah,
fact,
you
it's
said
got
that.
it's got wrinkles. I need to steam it.
That gives it texture.
Well, so Doyle and Keith, let's just talk about the whole thing we were talking about with the delivering value and not selling, because you've done 12 events, and this is my second one with you, and I have not seen you once say, "Hey, we have a course or we have an event," and it's paid. Like, you don't have a paid anything going on. This was all just, "Hey, free stuff for you. We're awesome."
I don't sell on my live streams either.
And so, how do you structure your stuff with the live streaming so that you can kind of bring it back to what you do, because you live in the digital world. You guys are offering digital services. So what would you say to that? I
You
know
go
you're
first,
the host. Yeah,
No,
you know
you
you're
go
the
first,
host,
Keith.
but I'm going to ask you the question.
All right. All right, I'll answer the question. There's a scene in Groundhog Day. Has everyone seen Groundhog Day?
Oh yeah.
Yesterday.
There's yesterday. Everyone has seen Groundhog Day, and for the first half of the movie, the Bill Murray character just says, "Oh look, I'm going to get drunk. I'm going to drive off cliff. I'm going to pick up girls. I'm going to eat what I want." And there was a moment in this COVID early April that I said to myself that the world is starting to feel very Groundhog Day-ish to me. This is the true story, to pick up on your comment, Linda. We at the start had no agenda at all. No agenda at all. It was just, in order for me to survive this, we're stuck at home, I can't go out, I wanted to do something useful. We decided that we would do a 10-part show teaching people to do this. And that we didn't yet know how to do it, but we were going to learn and we were going to teach as we go. So the agenda was, we're going to have a 10-part show. We're going to try things. We're going to test them live. We created an agenda, a 20-part checklist. And we knew that one day we'd come out the other end and we turned it into a product, and we will. Doyle, and we'll talk about this in a minute, has a challenge coming up, a 12-day challenge. We will probably turn this into a product. We've already been asked by several people who have run physical events to help them now run Zoom events, because they're taking money with checks and in the mail, and people have to come and drink coffee in a room, and they're not used to this. So we have gone out to the world to say, we are doing it and we are learning it, and you can trust me that I know what I'm doing now because I'm doing it. And the reason why that's important is I've got a lot of friends that are affiliates, and I've had people that are affiliates that have zero interest in the product they're selling, and they're mostly interested in the percentage they get. Now, that personal philosophy makes me feel sick, and there's no way in the world I would ever agitate for a product that I didn't believe in.
Yeah.
So I have to try things, and I have to get them, and I have to use them, and I have to then come back at the other side to say, look, Ecamm's a funky thing, but you need a Mac. And Doyle just blew up his 6-year-old MacBook, and now where are we? We can't do them anymore because he blew his computer up. It was a bloody great live stream, but he blew his computer up in the process.
But your microphone is hot, Doyle. You got a hot microphone.
A hot mic.
It's even the right color.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the John King wig like mine does.
That's the coolest thing ever. That's the
I
coolest.
do,
Oh,
but
Look at that.
This is what I
It's a
looked like over here until the
It's a
salons
rusty.
opened.
oh, that's so.
no, it actually creates more static for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Oh, I have mine on because I've got my fan on, and I didn't want it to sound like a wind
okay.
tunnel.
Yeah, that's okay. But no, those are really good points, Keith, and that was the purpose of the show. Really, was to say, how do we actually look at live streaming differently? How do we kind of connect these pieces? And that was sort of the fundamental question that we wanted to ask. How do we do this for businesses? So how can businesses kind of grab onto this activity, this trend? It's a long-term trend. It's not going away, right? We need to put these pieces together. Like, Keith's been podcasting for years, live streaming for years, myself as well. I've been podcasting since like 2015, live streaming since 2017, I think it is. So we've kind of done our own thing, but it's like, well, we've kind of gotten into our own bubbles as well of, okay, I use this tool. I've been using it for 3 years, and you kind of get complacent. Is there other stuff out there? And it became an experiment to see, as Keith said, crash test dummies for live streaming, right? We wanted to see what worked and what didn't, and we were prepared to go out and test it. And we've had some shows where it's been a complete failure. We couldn't go live for like 30 minutes because nothing worked, or we started and then everything dived and dropped off, and away we went. But we wanted to test these combinations to see, what there is more to the foundation of live streaming and how do we actually make it work as well. So we kind of wanted to look at it from the business side, investigative business journalist, I guess you could say.
And the thing about live streaming is, even if you screw up, it's still a brave thing. It's still a thing most people are freaked out to do.
Yes.
And if things get messed up, it just feels real, right?
Yeah.
It's all I've had a few shows now. So I use Ecamm. So I bring in my guests on Skype, which sucks. Ecamm has developed technology to bring in guests natively and to natively multi-stream.
When?
They demoed it for me in February.
Oh,
They're
wow.
still
working?
I don't know where it's coming out. I gotta, but
How do you?
so,
Yeah.
so
No,
I have my guest coming in on Skype, and
Yeah.
Skype crashes. This has happened to me enough times now that, first of all, I bring them up back on the computer very quickly when I can. But when I can't, I've had a few shows, a few live streams where I've literally successfully called them up in Skype on my phone. See, my computer crashed Skype, but my phone was fine. And I brought them up, and I've learned where to hold them so that, like, they're by the microphone and you can hear them. And
That's brave. That's brave.
it's ridiculous, but that was not the. I wasn't that slick the first time Skype dropped my guest.
No, it takes some time, and we're willing to do sort of the heavy lifting and see if this combination does not work at all.
And that'll
So
make people trust you because they know you're not going to claim to know
right.
something you don't.
Right.
And you know,
Quick
we chatted last week about Gary Vee's first episode of Wine TV, which is hilariously bad, and he'd be the first person to admit that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But he's done 1,000 shows since, and his last show is unbelievable. And so he takes 1,000 hours to get good, but he has to start. He has to get moving.
Yes.
And when we get good, we don't become good overnight. We become good because we're practicing,
We become good over
You
time.
could compare that to other things.
Well, yeah, Crystal,
think
I want to ask you, Crystal, how do we start? Like, how do we begin this process?
And you really just have to jump in with both feet. And it's interesting. Thank you, Christine, for mentioning this, because it's what is it? Public speaking is the 95% of people who don't like to do public speaking. This is an extension of public speaking.
Correct.
And what's even worse, as opposed to 50 people seeing you, there could be 5,000 or more.
If you're lucky.
And
If you're lucky.
falling on
If you're
your
lucky, yeah.
you're falling on your face in front of all these people, and my self-esteem is screwed up, and just all of these things. And it's funny, my very, very first YouTube video, I think my hair was bad. I just said, I'm getting this done. And that was 3 years ago. And now I'm not an expert at it, but at least when little things happen, it's like a muscle. You really have to work with that muscle.
Yeah.
There's no other way to lose weight. Eat less and work out. You really have to do it.
Also, another awesome thing is that the early days when you probably suck, no one's probably watching. Like, it is a curve. Like, as your audience develops and you get better at it, you grow together. So when you fall on your face, it's probably in front of like 3 people.
Right.
And you can take down the replay.
That's what I tell myself every time. I probably suck. I'm going to do it anyways.
Right.
Let me pick up on that. Let me pick up, and I want to hear how you're doing this, Christine. What Doyle's idea was for the challenge, and let's play this out because this is what Doyle wants to do to take it to the next level. This is my pointing to Doyle thing. Am I going the right way?
No,
He's up.
No, this way.
He's
One of those will work.
the Brady Bunch.
We need 4 more people.
There it is. Is that right? Up
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Up there. That's the bit I'll cut out. That's the bit I'll make a GIF out of.
Wait,
So the challenge. There it is. The challenge is that Doyle had this great idea that if we do a challenge, we'll create a Facebook group where only the Facebook group people get to see your challenge, and you've got a community of people saying, "Mate, no worries, I'm here with you." And it wasn't that good, but mine wasn't either, and let's get better at it. And there's only 3 people in the group, or 10 people, or 20 people, and they're helping each other.
Yep.
So in the early days, this is not going away. This is not a fad that you can just forget about. This is the new world. This is the new way that I want to communicate with people. I will eventually go in the city, and I will eventually get on a plane, but maybe not for a while. Linda?
So I also want to add to the point of the head trash or the weirdness of not the fear, right? There's fear.
Yeah, fear is it.
Yeah.
Fear, because people are comparing themselves to Gary Vee, who's maybe done 10,000 videos and you're on your 3rd.
Or Oprah Winfrey.
You can't do it. Not only that, but if you don't start, you cannot celebrate progress.
Absolutely.
You can't even, you have to start somewhere, and it's not going to be perfect. When Trevor and I started our videos, we were using the photo booth on our MacBook, and then we have 2 11s, and we used one for the audio track and the other one. And these 11s they're pretty awesome, And so I have a DSLR. I don't use it. Anyway, the point is when it gets to gear, you can get insane. I have a studio lamp here, but we always didn't have a studio lamp. We were by a window. I mean, it's just, you start. You just start. Because people aren't looking at you the way you think they are. They want to hear what you have to say if they're tuning in for the purpose of whatever whatever you promoted that this video is about. That's what they want to hear. They want
the other thing I want to pick up on is that there's been an enormous amount of creativity in several businesses locally, and the businesses that are not trying things have closed down. I mean, they just don't exist anymore. So it's like you really do have two choices: try something or go away. I mean, the businesses have just closed the doors because they can't innovate. And then there's other companies I've seen, cafes that are selling firewood, or people that have had something coming out for Mother's Day, and they had little flowers and chocolates, and they're actually a cafe, but they're selling flowers. And what they're doing is they're thinking differently. And by us thinking differently, we will survive and maybe even thrive, because for all of the people that are trying live streaming, there's probably 99% of the population that will never try it. So we're all right there. We're in the fast lane. Right there.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, is that you can use live streaming to connect with new customers too. And it doesn't matter if they're around the block or, across the city or across the state or around the world, right? That is the fascinating part of it. That's so powerful part for businesses right now.
And they feel like they know you. The know, like, and trust factor is never, nothing will build it like live video does, because they feel like they know you because they see you showing up week after week after week, even if you're falling on your face, even if they're watching it like a car crash. They like you because they like your demeanor, or they don't, but they kind of feel like they know you, and they trust you because you're coming at them straight. Almost anyone, I shouldn't say anyone, most people could sound smart if given a script and the opportunity to film it numerous times and had a good editor. Most people could sound smart if you really put all that in front of them. Not everyone, but most. Not everyone can sound smart live. So they trust you because you're able to just speak, somewhat extemporaneously.
Correct.
Nice
some people
smart.
can look smart and sound smart too, even.
Yeah, if you could do both, man, that's like.
Oh my God, I can't do that.
I'm going to do a gift of that.
I'm
not even going to try. I am not even going to try.
That is good. That's good. That's a GIF. I'm going to do a GIF of that. I might be the only one in the world that calls it a GIF, but I'm going to stay with that.
It's
the creator calls it GIF.
Yeah, but
the creator is wrong. Yeah.
I did hear somewhere that there's some science behind when your face is as close to the camera as it is. There is.
When you're in conversation, yes, there is.
There's a deeper, faster connection that's made on video when you're this close, tight in onto a camera. So I don't know if that's true, but I heard that's science.
It is.
Right?
There's neuroscience behind that. There's also neuroscience about keeping eye contact. There's neuroscience about showing your hands. It shows that you're trustworthy. There's all sorts of neuroscience. Stephanie Liu. Stephanie Liu, Liu. Stephanie Liu is not only a spectacular live streamer, she's a hypnotist.
Stephanie, yeah.
She's a hypnotist, and she's a certified neuro-linguistic practitioner. Yeah.
That is amazing. That inspires me to want to get certified for NLP. Just
right. I can hypnotize my body.
Just to deal with people on a daily basis, I need some NLP training for my own activity, okay?
Yeah. But she does all this anchoring stuff. It's amazing. There's so much, but there's a lot that goes into that. And on a very basic level, why do we watch videos in the feed? We're hardwired to see, there's a thing that's moving. It catches your eye.
Yeah.
Is it a predator? I mean, if you really go back.
Yeah, that's true. I'll say, though, I want to just give a shout out to the people who have no interest in live streaming, who don't need to do any live streaming, who have probably jumped on this video on any one of our watch parties and tuned out as soon as they saw that we were talking about networking and live streaming, except for my friend Tom Ina-Carey. If you're still on, Tom, hi, Tom. And he made some comments on my watch party. that's awesome. Like,
Mhm.
not everybody needs to network, and not everybody needs to live stream, and they still make money.
Yeah.
I was in the financial services. I'm still in the financial services industry, but when I was a financial planner, I knew rock star planners who they were like, "Why are you going to all these events?" I'm like, "Why aren't you going?" And I'm like, "He's like, because I've $30 million in assets under management." So I was like, "Okay, well, I don't." So, but it's for some people and it's not for some people.
It's
So
not for everybody. It's not for all businesses as well.
Well, can
so.
I pick up on that? I'm going to show my hands. I'm
Yeah.
I'm a trustworthy guy. I'm a trustworthy guy. Tell me then, for all those people that don't want to put their face in the camera, and it is very, very intimidating. I don't particularly like the headphone look, and it's
Put someone
You're
else's
awesome.
face.
Should have brought that out when we were talking about Groundhog Day. Earlier.
Yeah, right.
What about the idea? What about, and I'm very interested in the group here, this is a bit impromptu, but what about the idea of a podcast? You can still hear me, but you can't see me. That's a safer version for those people that don't want to go out
And
there.
it's still
Does anyone
intimate
have
because it's like being on the phone with you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
what are your thoughts?
And there might be an excuse because there's still somebody who said, "Oh, I don't like my voice." You might still hear background noise. So it's still about taking the fear and just jumping in and knowing you have some content and just having, Christine, just like you said, we're just going to have a conversation. That's what you say to the person. Because I remember when I first started, people would say, "I've never been a guest on a show," and it's like, don't worry about that. We're just having a conversation. And I didn't say the rest. And there could be 1,000 people listening. I didn't say that. But we're just having a conversation. If you keep it that simple and straight, and then just jump in with both feet, you will learn and you'll grow. That's always been my thing with all of my clients I mentioned. Just jump in.
it's a practice.
To do that.
Chris,
Yeah,
you are
practice.
right. It is a practice for sure.
And even if you've done like a lot, like I've done hundreds of live streaming, and sometimes if I leave it for like a couple weeks and don't do a show, it's like I forget what button I'm supposed to press or should have pressed, and kind
It's
of
that
miss
muscle.
So
Remember, I told you about that muscle. You got
you got to
to
keep on doing it.
But,
so I want to wrap.
but is it? Well, okay. Let's wrap it up. We can come back next week.
No,
I know
that'd be
we
fantastic.
could. I know it's
wanna
already
wrap it
after
up,
an hour. It goes by
but
so
we're going
fast.
to do a quick lightning round, just sort of in terms of what's your final tip for live stream. How should a business start to live stream and for networking? Let's see if we can tie the two together. Crystal, you start.
What was the question?
I'll put you on the spot.
I was talking.
Your number one tip for live streaming, and if you can weave in networking, please do so.
Oh, okay. Number one tip is pick something and do it, and put it on your calendar and do it.
That's a
put
good
it on
one.
your calendar and do it.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Crystal. Christine?
I would say my biggest thing is the more in your head you are, the more worried you are about making sure that everything's perfect, the less energy you're really going to be giving out that people can connect with. The more you just realize, you know what, I'm just me, I'm putting it out there, the more people are going to connect with it. Even though people don't connect with perfection, people connect with humans.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Linda?
I might have two. So
No, you're only allowed 3.
okay. Wait. What? Math is fun. So my first one is if you got the head trash like Christine was talking about, like we've been talking about, then do video with stories because they disappear in 24 hours, and do some practice with that. Okay, so that's the number one. The number two is if you're going to venture and invest in where you can multi-broadcast like StreamYard or Ecamm, start with just having a conversation about something with a friend online, live streaming with just one other person where you're both together talking about something you're both familiar with that you both excel at, and do it like that. Do it small, and then take the video and chop it into little mini clips to then have it as promo pieces so that you can see yourself and be like, wow, I actually sounded really good there. And those are my two.
SMRT.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. Yeah. No practice. do it, right?
Yeah.
Get it done. And I love the idea about using stories because, yeah, it's great practice. Get comfortable with it. All right, Keith, and you want to say some last words?
Yeah, look, in regards to that, I think if you want to start, if you think that live streaming could work, why don't you start by pre-recording some sessions on Zoom? It's HD. You get a recording. You can use it or you don't. You can cut it into little snippets and you can put it on Twitter. You can put the whole thing on YouTube. And I can tell you for sure that if you put it on YouTube, no one's watching you. So that's a great place to practice.
Or LinkedIn.
I've got mates of mine, good
True
mates of mine.
story.
They're getting 20 views on their video and they've spent 3 weeks doing it.
If
And
only.
I can't, and I'm thinking, how debilitating is that to spend 3 weeks editing a video in Peru and you did all this work and 20 people watch it? So if you want to practice, do a video on Zoom, make it really look good, put it on YouTube, and if no one watches it, no one wins, no one loses. Then when you get really good and you're really comfortable, turn on the live button. You'll get, I'm sure we've had 100, 300 maybe people watching this. We'll get 1,000 views this week because we're into it and we've grown into it. But I didn't start here. I didn't wake up. I didn't come out of the womb live streaming, although I probably did come out talking.
Me too.
What about you, Dor? What do you think?
Well, I think it's a matter of getting organized and making it easy on yourself. Like when you make that leap into live streaming, it's really a matter of how organized are you. And I personally, I get myself organized so I kind of reduce those fears. And again, even today, after doing a lot and working in this area for quite some time, your finger kind of shakes when you're about to click the go live button, right? It's like, ooh, do I really want to go live?
Yeah.
So, you know what? Make sure you've got a plan. I write out some talking points and some questions and that sort of thing to keep myself organized. And it's wonderful too having like a fantastic host like Keith, rather, who can kind of manage the tech or go and share it or whatever the case may be, and then some fantastic guests as well, which is really important. And I just wanted to shout out, how can we actually, oops, sorry, I missed that one. How can we get in touch with you? Crystal, I've got your Twitter here.
Yep, that's right.
Coach Crystal.
Yeah.
Christine, we can reach you at C. Gritman, which is amazing. And yeah, follow you. You've got some amazing stuff, Christine. Thank you.
Right?
And Linda as well.
Thank you. With the underscore at the end.
Yes, don't forget the underscore.
Yes.
As well.
I was having an identity crisis. I needed my name to be Together.
Awesome. And you can reach Keith at Keith Keller and myself at Doyle Bueller on pretty much every social channel out there. So just in closing, thank you so much for watching the show. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe as well. Thank you so much for doing that. If you do want to sort of learn more, we do have what we call the Livestream Launchpad, which basically highlights a lot of the episodes that we've done, the criteria that we've used as well for businesses. You can kind of go through that specific one. We have Keith's Twitter polls, which we wanted to go through, but we didn't have time today. And everything is there as well. So a fantastic place to start. If you'd like to look at more of our live streaming challenge, which is coming up in July as well, please take a look. And we're going to be bringing people through and trying to get rid of some of that fear as well. We have last thing, we have a WhatsApp live stream group. If you'd love to join in and talk, it's just a simple chat where we can sort of point people in the right direction, answer questions about live streaming and that sort of thing. So, all right. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank
your
you
time.
for having us.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Two hands. I'm a trustworthy guy.
Hands up. Keith, put your hands up. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.